Welcome to the Gear Obsession channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the CRKT Fossil. This beautiful knife was designed by a Brazilian knife designer by the name of, I'm going to say it all wrong, but you can always look right below. I'll put his name, Flavio Icoma, something like that. I'm sorry if you're watching the video, but again, just look down here and you can see how to it's spelled and you can pronounce it correctly. $48, that's what you can get this for, believe it or not. This is a custom knife that was put into mass production, sort of a collaboration between Flavio and CRKT to bring you a custom knife for a very reasonable price, $48 on Amazon right now. I'm going to go ahead and provide the link below so you can go ahead and easily click it if you're interested in this knife. Just look at that. So what we really need to do is take a really close look. This knife really just speaks for itself. I was trying to find one word to describe this knife, and what repeatedly comes up in my head is organic. It looks very organic. The scales here sort of have a hammered look, and the G10 scale over it sort of has that same kind of beaten with a chain kind of look. Just raw, organic, gorgeous, absolutely beautiful knife. So let's go ahead and run down the dimensions and the specs. For the overall length when open, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out because this is not going to fit in the frame right here. There we go. The overall open length of this knife is a very large 8.88 inches. Closed length is 4.95, almost 5 inches. Weight is a very hefty 6.1 ounces. This is a heavy knife. So if you EDC a very light knife, this is not for you. But if you EDC really cool looking knives, custom type of knives that are heavy, this knife is for you. It's very large. However, I have a note here that a smaller compact version is available, and I'll go ahead and put the link in the description box below also for that so you can check it out. Blade length for this knife is 3.96 inches, so it's a very large, almost 4 inches there. Thickness, look at this blade stock. Look how thick that blade stock is. That's 0.15 inches. So although you have all of this, it's relatively balanced right there. Very well balanced knife. Very well done. What else do we have? The blade material. Go ahead and just zoom out a little more. Blade material is 8CR13 MOV, which is a Chinese stainless steel. It's comparable with the US 440B or the AS 8 steel. It's an excellent value price steel for its performance. It's very good all around value price steel. HRC hardness for this steel is 58 to 60. The blade has a very nice satin finish. It's a hollow grind. This is a plain edge. They also have a serrated edge using the veff serrations. Looks really aggressive. It's sort of designed after shark's teeth, so very cool looking. Drop point style right here, and you got a little sort of like a hole. It's not really a spidey hole at all, but it does have the sharpness pretty close to a spidey hole. But as far as deployment goes, it's very difficult to use it like a spidey hole. You sort of got to push it way up here, or if you want to do it down here, you got to use both fingers and pinch it to get it to deploy. The best way to deploy it is with the flipper that you can see right here, where it just flies out. Like when I first opened this up, I thought it was an assisted opener because it just felt like it was just spring-loaded the way it flies out. But in fact, what's going on is that this is so smooth that it flies out. And the reason why it's so smooth is because it utilizes the I didn't put it in my notes, but it uses the ball. It has like ball bearings. I think it's IBS or something like that. I'm missing it a little bit. I think they actually had wrote it on the blade right here. This is the symbol for the ball bearing system that CRKT uses right there. And we have some jimping right here on the top. Very good jimping, as a matter of fact. Has you can see how it holds my thumb in place right there. You also have a little bit of jimping here on the flipper portion. That started out as the flipper when it was folded like this. You can see how it comes up. When it's open, it turns into a finger guard. So you have a nice deep finger choil right there with the hand guard. And you even have jimping there, so there's no worries about your hand slipping on this, and you have a lot of traction going on. I mean, you have the jimping here, and you have a very nice hammered kind of style stainless steel. By the way, the frame here, the handle here, is a hammered 2 CR13 stainless steel, and you have the G10 scales over it. I'm not going to call it a G10 insert because it's not inserted in, it's sort of over it. So your steel here is sort of like the liners, but it's so substantial it's hard to call that a liner. So absolutely incredible. And you can see here it's a frame lock, and it's a very sturdy frame lock. And I like that they did it correctly where there's a bearing in here in it. And you see this hole right there, the bearing that's in this frame lock, and it's sort of right, it's under here, it's hard to see, ends up in this hole right here, and that's what causes such good retention. Just watch, and you can see how it just snaps in. Look at that. And it's in there tight, and it's a good thing because there's a lot of weight, so if you have a lot of momentum and you have all this weight, a knife can easily open. So you can see here within reason that retention is really, really good, and that's why it's hard, or it's impossible, to use the hole here to open it with a, well, you know what, maybe it's breaking in. Look at that. That is cool, because I really wanted it to do that. So there you go, but you better have a strong thumb, because anyway, let's look at some other details. Look at the holes that they put in there. It's on both sides. Doesn't really lighten anything up because the thing is just so heavy to begin with. And look at this cool pocket clip. Really, really just stands out. And look at speaking of stands out, look at the standoffs right in there. So it should fit on a lot of different types of material and thick material because of the way that's designed. That's pretty cool, ain't it? Unfortunately, you can't relocate this clip anywhere else. It is where it is, so it's tip up right-handed only. Sorry about that, 15% of you people out there. But still, it's just amazing. By the way, a little bit of jimping here, more aesthetic than functional. Now, another thing that the designer had mentioned is that the grip is good no matter how you hold it. So let's talk about ergos a little bit. Again, your hand's not going to go anywhere, but it really fits very, very nicely. I don't feel any hot spots or anything digging into my hand. And reverse grip, because of the shape of this handle right here, feels really good in reverse grip. It's a very comfortable knife no matter how you hold it. By the way, plain edge ends with a nice little sharpening choil right there. You also have a flat area up here, so if you have a sharpening system that needs to clamp onto your blade, you do have some flat area up here to serve you well in that respect. Let's just go ahead and take one more close look, and then we'll go ahead and run through the test real quick and make sure that this thing is mechanically sound. First thing we'll take a look at is blade centering, and you can see right there it is spot on. Blade retention, which we already talked about, is very solid. Very strong frame lock pushing that bearing into the retention hole in the blade. It's doing a very good job of holding that in really good. Let's go ahead and deploy this. Nice and smooth with that bearing system. Just incredible. Ergos are perfect all the way around. No hot spots to speak of that are bad. The lock, the frame lock right there, let me point my light back here a little bit. You can see that it's behind the blade, with no problem, with a lot of room to wear. That's actually perfect right there. It's completely behind the blade and no further. It's completely, and there's a lot of room to wear. That's where you would want your lockup to be on a new knife. This is a perfect example. Absolutely perfect. CRKT, well done. Next thing we'll do is I'm going to sacrifice my notes here to go ahead and do a cut test, and we'll see how sharp it is. Now it's not quite push cutting, although it, you know, it's push cutting on parts of the blade, but not all of the pieces, as you can see there. So not quite as sharp as a lot of other knives. You know, I have to sort of move it in a slicing motion to get it to go through the paper right there. Whoop. So it could probably use a little bit of touching up. I mean, it feels sharp to my finger, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. There we go. What is it today? Alright, so as a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and do the quintessential hair shaving test. That'll tell us whether or not it's really sharp or not my paper cutting ability. So here's some little fuzzy hair right here. We'll go ahead and see if that shaves. And it does shave. There's a lot of, where are you? There we go. We have a lot of hair going on there. But it could definitely use a little bit of touching up. It's not the sharpest knife out of the box, but it is pretty good and functional. I'm probably going to touch it up after the video here. So let's go ahead and do the pine stabbing test. This is saw pine. I'm going to possibly sacrifice a tip just to make sure we don't have any fundamental heat treatment problems here. Have I ever had a knife fail this test? Once. I had one knife fail this test, and that was a Gerber, a Bear Grylls knife. Anyway, let's take a look at the point there and make sure that it is fine, which it is. Perfect. So pass the test with flying colors. I just want to show this off one more time. It's just such a gorgeous knife. CRKT Fossil right there. You can really see that hammered look right there. Sort of carried over into the G10. You know, and it's, you could see how, you know, since they sort of made all these divots, it sort of breaks through the different layers of G10. It gives it just a really cool look. Sort of like alligator skin or something. That's why I said this sort of just looks so organic to me. This is, the clip here looks like it was, what do you call it, washed, stone washed right there kind of look. It's beautiful. I'll tell you what, I'm sort of thinking about maybe even stonewashing the blade. Maybe, you know, CRKT, if you're listening, I think you should come out with a version that has a stonewash instead of the satin finish as a possible option. I think they also have a version that has a black coating on it. And again, you could get the combo blade with the veff serrations. You could get a smaller version with the veff serrations or without. So you have all kinds of options with this knife, and it's just a gorgeous, you know, knife that was done by a brilliant designer in collaboration with CRKT to bring it to us for a crazy price of $48 for this. It is definitely a bargain. One other thing I didn't show you, you have a spacer back here, so it's not open design, it's closed right there. So I can just play with this knife all day. It just flies open. It's just so much fun how fast this thing just opens. It's incredible. It really is. By the way, torque screw for the pivot right there. I'll let that maybe focus one day, and you can see it has a torque screw construction all throughout. Even the clip, it's a beautiful thing, and it just feels very good in hand. And it just large, heavy, just great. For some people, this is too heavy to be an EDC knife. However, they do make the compact version. Again, all these, you know, the two links right down there in the description box if you want the regular one or the compact. And when you go, these are Amazon links, so you'll also see listed under the actual item other ones that are similar, so you'll see all the variants of all the different versions. Gorgeous, gorgeous knife. Highly, highly recommended. The only thing that I could sort of add as far as cons is maybe if the clip would have been nice where you could mount it for left-handed carry, and I would love to see a stonewash blade version just to sort of bring it all together. Would have really just been over the top for me. So there you have it, the CRKT Fossil. Highly recommended here at the Gear Obsession channel. Thank you very much for joining me here at the Gear Obsession channel. I really appreciate every friend, viewer, subscriber, and of course you, and I hope you have a great evening. Take care.